1 Samuel chapter 20, it says that David fled from Naioth at Ramah and went to Jonathan and asked, "What have I done? What is my crime? How have I wronged your father that he's trying to kill me?" He's basically like, dude, why is your dad trying to kill me again? Like, why does he keep trying to take me out? I do nothing but serve your father. Why is he so jealous of me? Why is he so angry with me? And never, Jonathan replied, "You're not going to die. Look, my father doesn't do anything great or small without letting me know about it. Why would he hide this from me? It isn't so." He goes, there's no way that he's doing this. And really, Jonathan's going to find out he did do some things without letting him know. He did do these things behind Jonathan's back. Verse 3 says, "But David took an oath and said, 'Your father knows very well that I found favor in your eyes.' And he said to himself, 'Jonathan must not know this, or he will be grieved. Yet as surely as the Lord lives and as you live, there is only a step between me and death.' Jonathan said to David, 'Whatever you want me to do, I'll do for you.' So David said, 'Look, tomorrow is the new moon feast, and I'm supposed to dine with the king. But let me go and hide in the field until the evening of the day tomorrow. If your father misses me at all, tell him David earnestly asked my permission to hurry to Bethlehem, his hometown, because an annual sacrifice is being made there for his whole clan. If he says very well, then your servant is safe. But if he loses his temper, you can be sure that he is determined to harm me. As for you, show kindness to your servant, for you have brought him into a covenant with you before the Lord. If I am guilty, then kill me yourself. Why hand me over to your father?' 'Never,' Jonathan said. 'If I had the least inkling that my father was determined to harm you, wouldn't I tell you?' David asked, 'Who will tell me if your father answers you harshly?' 'Come,' Jonathan said, 'let's go out into the field.' So they went there together. Then Jonathan said to David, 'I swear by the Lord, the God of Israel, that I will surely sound out my father by this time, the day after tomorrow. If he is favorably disposed toward you, if he's happy with you, will I not send you word and let you know? But if my father intends to harm you, may the Lord deal with Jonathan, be it ever so severely, if I do not let you know and send you away in peace. May the Lord be with you as he has been with my father, but show me unfailing kindness like the Lord's kindness as long as I live, so that I may not be killed. And do not ever cut off your kindness from my family, not even when the Lord has cut off every one of David's enemies from the face of the earth.'" So basically, this is what Jonathan says. I'm going to go talk to my dad. I'm going to go find out what's up. If he's cool with you, I'm going to let you know it's safe to come back. If he's not cool with you, I promise you I'm going to warn you. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I'm going to protect you. I want you to promise to me that you'll protect my family when you become king. Jonathan is acknowledging essentially here that David is going to be the next king. He has accepted the decision Samuel the prophet has made. So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, "May the Lord call David's enemies to account." And Jonathan had David reaffirm his oath out of love for him, because he loved him as he loved himself. They had an agreement that they were going to look out for one another's families and that they were going to care for one another. And David would honor this agreement by looking out for Jonathan's family and really those that he was close with. He would honor Jonathan. Then Jonathan said to David, "Tomorrow's the new moon feast. You will be missed because your seat will be empty. The day after tomorrow, toward evening, go to the place where you hid when this trouble began and wait by the stone Ezel. I will shoot 3 arrows to the side of it, as though I were shooting at a target. Then I will send a boy and say, 'Go find the arrows.' If I say to him, 'Look, the arrows are on this side of you, bring them here,' then come, because as surely as the Lord lives, you are safe, there is no danger. But if I say to the boy, 'Look, the arrows are beyond you,' then you must go, because the Lord has sent you away. And about the matter you and I have discussed, remember the Lord is witness between you and me forever." Basically, they both made their oaths. They're both trusting one another. And Jonathan says, "I'll warn you. This is how I'll warn you. If I say that you need to go away, you need to go away, and God will preserve you because God's taking you away." Verse 24. So David hid in the field, and when the new moon feast came, the king sat down to eat. He sat in his customary place by the wall opposite Jonathan. So they all probably had assigned seating. The king had a seat of honor. His son would have been next to him. And Abner sat next to Saul, but David's place was empty. Abner would have been one of the leaders in the army. Saul said nothing that day, for he thought, "Something must have happened to David to make him ceremonially unclean. Surely he is unclean." Following the law of the Jewish customs, he wouldn't have been clean, so he would not have been able to attend the feast. So then the next day he's thinking he's going to be there. But the next day, the second day of the month, David's place was empty again. Then Saul said to his son Jonathan, "Why hasn't the son of Jesse come to the meal either yesterday or today?" Jonathan answered, "David earnestly asked me permission to go to Bethlehem. He said, 'Let me go, because our family is observing a sacrifice in the town, and my brother has ordered me to be there. If I have found favor in your eyes, let me get away to see my brothers. That is why he has not come to the king's table.'" Saul's anger flared up at Jonathan, and he said to him, "You son of a perverse and rebellious woman. Don't I know that you have sided with the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of your mother who bore you? As long as the son of Jesse lives on this earth, neither you nor your kingdom will be established. Now send someone to bring him to me, for he must die." All right, it's gotten real now. Jonathan is talking to Saul. Saul gets really mad and says, "I'm going to kill this David guy." He goes, "You're a rebellious person and you're a son of a rebellious woman. And as long as this guy's alive, you won't be king. I'm going to kill him today. Bring him to me." "Why should he be put to death? What has he done?" Jonathan asked his dad. But Saul hurled a spear at him to kill him. Then Jonathan knew that his father intended to kill David. Jonathan's thinking, wow, if he'll throw his spear at me, then he'll throw his spear at anybody. Jonathan got up from the table in fierce anger. On that second day of the feast, he did not eat because he was grieved at his father's shameful treatment of David. In the morning, Jonathan went out to the field for his meeting with David. He had a small boy with him, and he said to the boy, "Run and find the arrows I shoot." As the boy ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. When the boy came to the place where Jonathan's arrow had fallen, Jonathan called out after him, "Isn't the arrow beyond you?" Then he shouted, "Hurry, go quickly, don't stop." The boy picked up the arrow and returned to his master. The boy knew nothing about all this, only Jonathan and David knew. Then Jonathan gave his weapons to the boy and said, "Go carry them back to town." After the boy had gone, David got up from the south side of the stone and bowed before Jonathan 3 times with his face to the ground. Then they kissed each other and wept together, but David wept the most. This would have been like a hug and a cheek kiss. There was nothing inappropriate that was taking place. That was a term of agreement or a term of endearment or a bond thing that you see, like depending on cultures. Like I'm Greek, and in our Greek culture, like my grandparents, like they'll do the cheek kiss stuff. Like it was nothing perverse or sinful. But David wept the most. Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, 'The Lord is witness between you and me and between your descendants and my descendants forever.'" Then David left, and Jonathan went back to town. David, we're going to go into chapter 21. We're going to continue as David's now on the run. David went to Nob to Ahimelech the priest. Ahimelech trembled when he met him and asked, "Why are you alone? Why is no one with him?" David answered Ahimelech the priest, "The king sent me on a mission and said to me, 'No one is to know anything about the mission I'm sending you on. As for my men, I have told them to meet me at a certain place. Now then, what do you have on hand?' 'Give me 5 loaves of bread or whatever you can find.' But the priest answered David, 'I don't have any ordinary bread on hand. However, there is some consecrated bread here, provided the men have kept themselves from women.' David replied, 'Indeed, women have been kept from us as usual whenever I set out. The men's bodies are holy even on missions that are not holy. How much more so today?' So the priest gave him the consecrated bread, since there was no bread there except the bread of the presence that had been removed from before the Lord and replaced by hot bread on the day it was taken. Now one of Saul's servants was there that day, detained before the Lord. He was Doeg the Edomite, Saul's chief shepherd. David asked Ahimelech, 'Don't you have a spear or sword here?' 'I haven't brought my sword or any other weapon because the king's mission was urgent.' The priest replied, 'The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, is here. It is wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you want it, take it. There is no sword here but that one.' David said, 'There's none like it. Give it to me.' That day David fled from Saul and went to Achish, king of Gath. But the servants of Achish said to him, 'Isn't this David, the king of the land? Isn't he the one they sing about in their dances? Saul has slain his thousands and David his tens of thousands.' David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, king of Gath, so he pretended to be insane in their presence." Basically, David's on the run and he's trying to find a place that he can hide, but here's the hard part that David's dealing with. In Israel, he's a wanted man. In the land of his enemies, the Philistines, they're all afraid of him because he's killed them all so much. So he's kind of in between a rock and a hard place. He gets to this place, the king and the people are worried about him because they would be like enemies of Israel, if you will, and so he acted insane. He acted crazy. Verse 13, "And while he was in their hands, he acted like a madman, making marks on the doors of the gate and letting saliva run down his beard." Basically, he acted like a madman. "Look at the man, he's insane. Why bring him to me? Am I so short of madmen that you have to bring this fellow here to carry on like this in front of me? Must this man come into my house?" And he would put him out of the city, and David would have to continue to travel to find a safe place to be. And we're going to basically journey through the next portion of the scripture. We're going to see David on the run and Saul in pursuit. And this is a unique season of David's life because he's not in the palace. He doesn't have position. He's on the run. And sometimes in your life, you might feel like you're in an uncomfortable season and you're on the run. But one of the things about David is that he trusts God and he listens to the Lord and he uses wisdom and he uses discretion and he restrains himself, and God protects him even in this tough season. He's out in the wild, so to speak. You might feel like you're in a wilderness sometimes. I want you to know that just because you're in the wilderness, that doesn't mean God's left you. Sometimes God sent you to that very wilderness to preserve you, just as he did with David. Be blessed today.